Can see the questions.
And I believe we're live.
Looks like it.
Welcome to the iFilmmaker podcast. My name is Ariel Martinez, and we have Mr. Ceratelli with us. How are you, man?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. Everything's good. We're catching up on everything.
How's this week been for you?
It's been nice, actually. I finished up a lot of projects probably like last Friday, and this week's been a little more laid back. I had one other thing that came back with some edits I had to finish up, but other than that, man, it's been a lot of catching up on things I haven't been able to do because of work, and one of those is actually working on the documentary a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's been a nice week so far. It's still busier than I'd like a little bit of break before Christmas here, or at least Christmas will be the break, but you know how it goes.
I'll be honest with you. Done. For me, the break is that I don't have to travel.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind editing, but the traveling part it's actually pretty taxing.
Yeah.
So we are live for those of you that are watching and or listening. I'm sure that we're going to get more viewers and listeners trickling in as the episode goes. We're live on YouTube right now. For those of you that don't know, go over to YouTube channel, subscribe, and get those notifications, and make sure that you don't miss an episode when we start recording, when we go live. We're already getting a hi guys, hope all is well in the film world.
Yeah, Twisted Art Productions is back. All right.
I see that. I see Martin Lugo. I see you guys. So what's the update with Zion? I got the drive. You sent it over to me. I haven't looked into it because I've been editing so much with my work. So actually I'm gonna have to do some, like, I guess, scanning in the after hours.
Yeah.
Why I've been sipping on my coffee.
I've gone through most of the interviews. I got interrupted on my way to finishing them up and haven't quite finished it yet.
Okay.
But I'm getting through the interviews and trying to just pull together a story on my end. And we spoke about this. Once you get to go through them, we'll discuss what we think the story should be. And then I'm going to put together a first cut, rough cut, whatever you want to call it, by Christmas is our goal. And I think that's going to happen. I think that's reasonable right now. So I'm happy about that, trying to stay on schedule, and we'll keep moving forward.
Very good. Very good. So I got a quick gear update. I went ahead. I told you on the last episode, I picked up the Silk Ray from Dracast. Or Dracast. I don't know how to pronounce that. I picked up the Silk Ray. I loved it. I used it on a shoot that just came in last minute for CBS News. And I got to interview this artist called Nicky Jam. Apparently he's pretty well known.
Yeah. He's a Latin artist, yeah?
Yeah, he's a Latin artist. I got to interview him. Well, I didn't interview him. I was following a CBS journalist that was interviewing him. Went really well. Very successful. I used the I was such in a tight, not only in a tight room, but tight timing. I had to do everything happen so fast. So I pulled out the new Silk Ray Dracast 400B LED light, the bicolor, the 96 plus CRI. It was just so gorgeous. It was really, really nice. And it was already naturally soft. So I really, really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that, the convenience of that. So I think I'm going to pick up another one. But before that, I already went ahead and picked up off of one of those 24-hour deals on B&H. I picked up the 1000 Silver Series 1000 LED light. So,
you're a sucker for those deals, huh?
Oh man, those things get me all the time. Man, that light is usually $500-600. It was at $200. Nice. So I just snatched that real quick. It's a 95 CRI. It came in yesterday. I was looking at it, and I can power it with my V-Lock batteries.
Nice.
So that was pretty cool. I picked that up as well, playing with it. It's pretty heavy, so I'm gonna have to definitely use one of my more sturdier light stands with it. But it's really nice. I'm gonna pick up one more of those Silk Ray. Just getting a bunch of I'm
a hoarder too, you know that.
I'm just been all over the place there. All right, so today I thought it'd be a good idea to go into a question that I figured we should discuss, because it's something that, although I don't think I ever had any confusion with this, I can see why people would like. I
Right.
can see where the question would come from. So we have a question from Yoav on Instagram, and I kind of reworded it because I guess you know this is my rewording of his question according to what I understood. So his question is: I'm wondering if I have to tell a client that I have to rent some equipment to give him high quality video, or do I just keep my mouth shut and insert the price of the rental inside my invoice and make it look like my fees for the job? I feel if I tell a client that I need to rent, let's say, a better camera because mine isn't good enough, uh, won't it make them run away from you?
Hmm.
So that's the question. Should he tell the client? Should he tell the client that he's renting gear and then just slip that price into the invoice and don't tell him anything? Or
Right.
should you just tell the client and risk the client running away
Right.
or hiring somebody else?
Well, before I give my opinion on it, I guess I just want to say that there definitely are people out there that don't have a lot of gear, and rightfully so. It's expensive, right?
Yeah.
And they will rent to do jobs, and that happens a lot more so, I think, even with just DPs. There'll be high-end DPs that they're not owning their Red cameras, they're not owning Alexas. You can't own all of those cameras. So if you're not a full production company, quote unquote full production company, right? It's
Yeah.
not it's not that stupid to not own them and just rent them when you need them for the job. And so I guess that could lead right into the answer. So I kind of have two answers. Do you want to go first? You got something?
Well, I just wanted to start by saying,
Yeah.
and this is my own take on this. I can never tell you hide anything from your client, especially something as big as an invoice or a price on something. I've never taken that route, and I guess that's why I've never had this issue because I've always been upfront with my client
Yeah, I'm
with
pretty
regards to
transparent
my
as well.
pricing.
Yep.
And oftentimes I don't off the bat tell my clients that it's going to require this much, because when I hire a lighting guy, I don't tell my client that. I just give them an overall proposal or production estimate of what the whole entire project is going to require. Oftentimes though, they do ask for an itemized proposal.
I'm a little too transparent sometimes where I'll give those even when not asked.
Right.
I'll break down production, and I don't think that's a great idea, but I do it.
Well, it
Just
depends
so they
on
know what
how
they're
big the
paying for.
project is. It depends on how big the project is, I would say, because if it's a quick
Right.
2-3 hour shoot and then just deliver a quick 2-minute video, your typical interview B-roll, just deliver
a day rate like that you could just throw on there.
it'll basically be a day rate. I don't feel like I have to itemize everything.
Right.
But for sure, the bigger projects in my proposal, when I'm bidding for a much bigger project, I put everything: equipment rental, I put hiring of the lighting and grip, production assistant, makeup artist, producer, all that stuff.
Yep.
I put it all in there right away.
Yeah. So, but I do have, like I have two answers for this question.
Go ahead.
After thinking about it a little bit, and I think that it depends where you are in your career, because if you're at the lower end of your career, like just beginning, and you're shooting, this is ridiculous, but if you're shooting on an iPhone, but you can and know how to shoot on the more expensive cameras, but just don't have them, I would just work it into my price personally. I would just work it into my fee for the day. You just know what you need to rent to do the shoot and work it into your fee. But if you're at a more advanced level where you have cameras and you're not in, it sounds like he is this question. I don't want to say embarrassed, but he knows that he should be shooting with better equipment at this point, but just maybe hasn't gotten it yet. And that's understandable. So he wants to use the better stuff, but doesn't want his client to know. If you have the stuff that you know you're good with using, for example, let's say you have an FS5, great camera, but let's say for the next project you need a Red. I don't think you'd be embarrassed to say, I don't own a Red. We have to rent it.
Yeah.
We can shoot with it. That's great. I know how. But we need to put it on there because I need to rent it, which I don't think is a problem when you get to those levels. People know you have to rent this gear.
Yeah.
But again, with the lower level projects where you're just coming in and shooting for the day, quick this and that, like I think just work it in your price. That's my personal opinion on that.
Yeah, and also I would say the way you phrase it.
Mhm.
I always just say equipment rental, and that could mean anything.
Mhm.
For me, oftentimes, I haven't gotten around to buying a teleprompter. Maybe that should be my next purchase. Uh, but I'm not a big fan of the iPad teleprompters.
Right.
I like to be able to control my teleprompters with the computer, like legit, because I've used it before, and I'm like, man, it's so much easier, you know. Uh, but anyways, the good teleprompters cost money, which is why I haven't bought it yet. But when I have a job that, I know I'm going to need a teleprompter, I put that in the invoice. I put it as equipment rental. There have been a couple of jobs where I needed 2 video cameras, and my A6300 wasn't going to cut it.
Right.
I knew that I need a camera that did not have a record limit because I'm recording this big convention that's going to be long recordings. I definitely don't want to trust my A6300 with that.
Mhm.
So I just rented another FS5.
Mhm.
And again, it's equipment rental. That's what I put it as. I don't put it as a camera rental or whatnot. But if they ask, I'll let them
Yeah.
know. Like it
Yeah.
is what it is. At the end of the day, my client's really gonna be hiring me for my expertise, for what I bring to the table. It's
Right.
really, I guess when you're starting off, there's a lot more people that can do the job that they're hiring you to do. Uh, and I've even come across clients where they were considering doing it in-house, something so simple. Uh, but as you get to the much more higher end stuff where they expect you to know what you're doing, uh, they would definitely understand, and even in some cases expect you to be renting equipment.
Mhm.
It's something that they would see it, and they know that should be there. And that goes with anything. I have my entire it's funny because Twisted Art Production just put like, I can never have enough lights. And it's true. I mean, for the amount of scenarios that I find myself in, like I'm always trying to find that nice lights that work the way that I need them to work, when I need them to work, how I need them to work.
Right. But if you need a 10K, you don't have that sitting on
I'm
hand,
not
right?
gonna go and buy a
Yeah,
10K when
exactly.
I don't
So,
use a 10K all the time. I
but
buy
if
lights
that
according to
project
what I
requires
use all the time, right? So if I know that I'm going to do a nice big production where there's a big set, I may have one good light, but I need 2 of them on both sides, and I'm going to need a good backlight. And then I come to realize, man, I'm going to need somebody on this full on,
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to add my grip and lighting guy that just shows up with his entire truck. And oftentimes, if I have a slightly bigger budget, he'll come with his own assistant. And then you got 2 people just working lighting the way that I need them, placing them where I need them to put it. All of that's worked into the invoice. Like and it's no secret,
Yeah.
And so I think that really goes with that, there's nothing that you need to keep from your client. I guess just consider the way that you would phrase it to your client if they ask. I know none of my clients have ever asked me. What
Yeah.
about you?
No, they don't. I haven't been questioned about equipment rentals because again, thankfully I'm lucky enough to have what I need. And if I do need to rent something, I tell them we need to rent this. I don't own this. This is not something in my inventory. So I have
Yeah.
no problem saying that at this
Yeah, but
point.
right, but even then, like they just tell me what they need.
Yeah.
Uh and and, and
I do let them know when it's something I don't have because I feel like I know people hire me thinking like I come with the gear for the most
right,
part.
right, right.
I
Okay.
give a full day rate that includes my gear. um, and like I vary that depending on like if I know I have to bring more, I add more to that rate. So I do actually work my equipment rate into my day rate without telling them exactly what that is.
Okay.
But if it's extra gear that I know I have to get, I'm going to put that receipt on the invoice anyways. So I'm telling them up front that you're going to be paying for it. I don't have that. We don't have that as a company here. We don't have that. We need that for this shot, for this shoot. That's what you require. They never have a problem with that if that's the case.
Yeah, but you don't just say you're gonna pay for this.
No, that's what it ends up. That's what you're really saying,
You
but no, you
kind
don't
of,
say it like that.
I don't know. I guess I would. I just glaze over it like they already know like what's up. You know, I'm not gonna pay for this stuff. Obviously, anything that I do that requires your project, that all falls on you.
Yeah.
So I kind of like itemize it. Sometimes I'm sitting in meetings and I itemize things that would require even before. I don't give I don't give I don't give estimates when I sit down in a meeting for the first time with a client or a potential client. Like I don't give them an estimate right off the bat because I never want to I guess shoot myself in the foot.
Yeah, I have to think it through. It takes me a
Yeah,
minute.
so I always tell them, okay, so this is what will need. So according to your project, right in front of them, I start labeling everything that I'm gonna need, like lighting, grip, makeup artist. I start putting all this stuff in there so they know what's up, right? And doing that also kind of helps justify the price tag. You know, I start labeling a lot of things that require then post-production, animation, motion graphics, coloring, audio, all that stuff. I start itemizing all that stuff in the list. And then you know, I'll tell them like, all right, we'll look over this and I'll send you an estimate, an official estimate later on today, you know. And but all that would be included. And in there, like I'll kind of glaze over equipment rental, you know, and that can mean anything. Sometimes I just want to rent a nice lens to do a job with. I'll throw that in there, you know. Even if I'm shooting with my FS5, I want to rent a nice lens, I'll do it. So
you don't need that now that you got those nice Sigmas, right?
I love my Sigmas. But you know what? I chose to get the 50 to 100 over the 70 to 200 that I was supposed to get before. But I'm super happy that I made that choice because
I mean, you can definitely use anywhere from 100 to 200, but I mean, it's only I generally only use that if I'm further away from people.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like if you know your shots and you're in a area where you're, I don't want to say enclosed, but
yeah,
I don't think I'm ever going really over 100. Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, I would definitely, no, for sure. I would use the 50 to 100 way more than I would use the 70 to 200.
Yeah. I mean,
so I figured let me cover myself with that. And I mean, right now, I mean, unless I'm running and gunning and have no time to be changing lenses, I'll pull out my 24 to 105. But right now, that's just sitting pretty. But yeah, I mean, I love the lens. But anyways, yeah, I mean, definitely, like, I'll throw things in there that I would like to rent. Even if it's just to test it out, you know.
Yep.
I'll,
yeah, it's like I could use it on this job, so I'll put it on this invoice and give it a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of your growth too, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that because it's not like you're just doing it to do it. You're gonna use it. It's just you may not have ever used that before, and that's gonna happen. You're gonna end up running into things where you've never used them before, but you need them for this project. It's like, all right, let me try it out.
And here's another thing. When a client presents itself with a project and they tell me their budget and they have a really nice budget, I'm not going to go and shoot that with my FS5. I mean, I could, right? But I want the best quality. Like I want some, if they're giving me this much budget, this much to work with, I'm going to want to deliver something that's par, you know? So I'm going to want to pull out the big guns. Like I don't want to have to worry about lighting. I'm going to be able to make sure I have all the lights that I need for whatever scenario presents itself. I hire my lighting guy. I get a much nicer camera. Usually it's a red. And with that, I'll get either if I'm not using my Sigmas, I'll get some nice cinema glass. And you know, so on and so forth. So, you know, I work according to the budget that they give me. If I don't have enough budget, if I don't have enough in that budget to rent, then I don't put it in there. But you know, at the end of the day, I just, you know, clients.
That's how it should be, right? You get what you're paying for, right? If they're willing to put more money in, they're going to get higher quality, even out of the same person. Obviously, better equipment is going to supply better quality. So
yeah,
just how it is.
Yeah, I don't think that you can go wrong with telling your client that that you're going to be renting equipment. I don't think that your client should come back at you and say, wait, I thought you had this stuff already. You know, I mean, it's never happened to me what you don't want to do is kind of be be secretive about it, be weird about it. Don't be weird about it. Don't act like you're hiding something, you know? Just be straightforward with it. And I think that that's the best advice I could give in that sense.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, that's how I run my business. I'm very transparent with my clients, but at the same time, I kind of glaze through it. Like, all right, we're renting equipment, we're hiring these people, we're doing a bunch of these things, but I always present it in a manner that they're expecting, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what clients are, what this question, whoever asked the question, was it
Right.
Johan?
Yoav.
Yoav? I'm not sure what his clients are expecting from him. I don't know if he has a library of work that they've seen. If that's the case, then it doesn't matter how you get it done. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, I just don't know his situation. But by the way he asked the question, I just feel like he might not have a lot of experience, and that might not be true, but that's just how, because of the question and the way it was phrased, that's what I originally thought. So I was thinking maybe he's just early getting into it and doesn't know how to go about renting gear because he doesn't have it yet and charging the client. So yeah, but otherwise they know what you're capable of, no matter how you do that, whether it's renting gear or owning it. So yeah, it shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't matter. You should be able to tell them.
So on that same note, I also want to, you know, put the idea out there that if you don't absolutely have to rent gear, sometimes you should resist, you know? So an example, I used to, before I got my FS5, I was doing virtually all my work on the Sony a6300. And that camera was just paying itself over and over and over and over. So that, you know, I would do projects that, you know, I had a budget to rent a much better camera, but I figured, you know, I can save the money, you know, and just get it all done with this according to what they were looking for, you know,
Right.
according to what they were looking for. If they're not looking for an international, a nationwide commercial, uh, you know, high-end production. Like, I'm not gonna hire a lighting guy and then shoot with my A6300. It just, for me, it doesn't make sense. You know, and sometimes, I mean, you have to kind of play the field, because sometimes they'll ask me, what would this cost? You know, and back then what I used to do was, I just give them I guess my daily rate. I would tell them it would take me this many days to shoot it and this many days to edit it. And I already had my set rate for that. But now I quote clients like that, expecting them to know that I'm hiring people, and this is not going to be a small production. It's not just going to be me. You know, I'm coming with a production assistant. I'm coming with my lighting guy, and I give them the big boy rate. And oftentimes they resist. They're like, "Wow, that was way more than what we expected." Then I'll say, "Okay, scrap the lighting guy, scrap the equipment rental."
Yeah.
The only thing I try to keep is always my production assistant.
Yep.
And then now I find out, okay, this is what they're willing to pay, you know? So this goes back to what I said several episodes ago, where you always aim high and then just go lower from there if need be. And this happened like that many times. I've given them, they've told me, like, I told them there's a nice high end way of doing it. And this is what I did with FIU. There's a high end and there's a low end. And then the high end requires this much because it requires this. It requires my lighting guy. It requires all these people. And then they said, okay, let's try to get a little bit lower. So, okay, we can scrap the lighting guy. We will just do it with my lights, but it's going to be like this. And, you know, it's all negotiable, really. But, you know, they know, you know.
It's funny you say, I'm going to just come back at you a little bit with the not lighting for 6300, for the A6300. And I'm not saying I do agree with you, but
Yeah.
I just want to make a point about how important lighting actually is. Yeah. Because let's say if you're in a darker room and you brought an A6300 in there and a red in there, if you don't have lights,
you're done with the red.
It's going to look terrible.
Yeah.
So like if you only had budget enough to get lights, to light for the A6300, it's going to
Yeah.
look better than getting a red without lights.
Yeah.
So there's, it's crazy what these cameras can do. And then especially when you pump light into them, they do a really good job. I mean, the A6300, the A7S2, any of those Sony mirrorless, even without light, obviously with the A7S2, but you
Yeah.
pump light into those things, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they're
They're
gorgeous. No,
really good looking cameras.
I've done projects just like that where I grossly underlit my subject and
For a red camera,
for a red camera,
yeah,
and my B cam was the A7S2,
it looked better.
and my God, it was like way better.
Yeah.
But I ended up having to do so that I can salvage the footage.
Oh,
I
I
just
remember you telling the story. You dummied down your good footage, right, to match it. Yeah.
I had to put black and white, add grain, all that crap. Like it was, I was, it was disgusting. It was definitely a learning experience for me though.
Yeah.
But I think that's it for that question. Do you have anything else you would add to that? Like, I mean, if we had to sum it up, it would just basically be
To be transparent. I
be
don't think
very
there's anything wrong with that.
yeah, be very transparent. And don't make a big deal about it. Like, if you make a big deal about it, you're kind of encouraging them to do so.
If
And
you
that's
do
where
have,
that's,
if you do have like, if you know you're renting the same type of stuff every time, if you're kind of in or at a level where it's like, okay, I'm gonna get a mirror, like I'm gonna get a DSLR, I'm gonna get a lens, and I'm gonna get this light set, and you know that for like the next 6 months, that's kind of be your thing to get into it. Then I think just make that into your rate. You know what I mean? I don't think that needs so something. Again, I don't know his situation, so I think there's a time where you can work it in. I don't think that's hiding it. I really don't think that's hiding it. But when you get to the point where you need to you definitely need to rent to like up your game, and up the quality of the production. Definitely you don't need to hide it. Just be transparent. They know what is coming. Like they should be expecting it. And if not, just explain to them like this is what it is. If you want this level, just like you said, you give them 2 rates. This level is going to cost this because we need this, and this extra gear. We need this person, extra gear. Yeah. This one's going to be this rate because we use my lights and what I have and less people. So that's yeah, but yeah, be transparent is probably the best way all the way around.
Good. So before we get to our next to our next question, just want to remind you guys that we are on YouTube right now. We're currently streaming live, and we have several people that have been watching and giving their input, and they're still here. We're on YouTube. Go ahead and check that out if you want to receive notifications. Every time that we go on live, as we mentioned before, it's sporadic. We kind of just go by ear when we're going to record our next episode, because we are both full-time freelance filmmakers. Go to the iFilmmaker YouTube channel, subscribe there, and make sure you'll get those notifications when we go live. Also, we're on Instagram at iFilmmaker Podcast, Facebook, the whole 9 yards. You have myself on Instagram, arielmartinez.tv, and Mr. Cervitelli at Jersey Filmmaker. And he also has his YouTube channel, Jersey Filmmaker, over on YouTube as well. Just a quick reminder there. So let's get to our next question. Is that sirens on my side? That? Yeah. No, is that on your side?
Yeah, I live in a city, man. You never know when those are coming by.
Jersey life.
Yeah.
So we have a question that actually came in today from Kushagra on Instagram. Sorry if I mispronounced that name. He wanted to know, or she, I'm not sure. They wanted to know. He's saying, I'm a freelancer hired to shoot an interview. Do I need an interview release if I plan to use that to add to my portfolio? Have you ever done that?
I actually work into my contract in the appendix that I'm allowed to use the footage for my reel.
Right.
I put that in every contract, and I've never had it come back at me where they're like, "Nah, you can't use this." Although that's not true. They've never cut it out of the contract, but I do know when the work is internal, and depending on the content, I know I shouldn't use it. Right now, it's just
Right.
maybe if it's just visuals, no problem. But if I'm working in like the audio as well and what they're talking about, sometimes I can't. But those are like recurring clients, so I don't want to mess that up. You know what I mean? But if it's a
Yeah.
one-off, that's a good question.
I
I would.
I
Man, that's a
wouldn't.
good question. I don't know.
I think, well, to start off, to have a baseline, policy, it should get released for everything. As a safety precaution, as a safety net, get a release for everything. Make sure that you're covered. That's just baseline.
Yeah.
That being said, I've never done it. So I have everything that I've ever shot. Often, most of the time, I have release forms. But however, you know, you were talking about having a release from your client, but I think, and I could be wrong here, I
talking about
think
the
what
person.
they're talking about the subject of the video. So if I get hired, like for example, CBS News is a perfect example. CBS News hired me to do an interview with Nicky Jam. CBS allows me, or they haven't said anything because I actually did post on my Instagram that I'm doing an interview with Nicky Jam. Nicky Jam, I think, could have easily, or his agent could have easily said, "Hey, we didn't give you permission to post that," right?
Yep.
Or even, you know, because I think I'm going to definitely use that on my reel or something like that.
I think CBS would be the middleman there.
Right.
If you use it on your reel, let's say Nicky Jam, I don't think if they approach you, you would be like, oh, but CBS owns this footage. You could technically say, and then CBS would have to be, because there's like a middleman there. So
that's actually a good
paying
point
for the project? So
that's actually a good point.
You know what I mean? Because now it's now their property.
It is their property, because as soon as Nicky Jam gave them permission
to
use that,
so now you're actually using CBS's footage, which is a bigger problem, probably.
Yeah. So, I don't even know what's a bigger problem. The funny thing is that they did tell me to take something off. Actually, so I posted a behind the scenes picture, which was, you know, it was there, but I wanted to post the frames, and I did post the frames, and I got in trouble for it. Not in trouble, but I mean, they just asked me to politely take it off.
Yeah,
like we haven't released this yet, so let's we didn't want to show it off yet. So oh yeah, no, not a problem. I took it off right away. That's happened to me several times.
I just did a job. I talked to you about this. I don't think I mentioned it on here, but I did a job for Playboy, but it wasn't what you might be thinking. They're doing some new digital content because they're revamping. Since Hugh Hefner died, they're revamping their online presence. And their contract was lengthy, and it was just a hassle to even get into doing this. But I was just a second cameraman on this.
Wow.
And it was so much work to just even get the job paperwork wise. But in the paperwork was no social media, nothing, because they hadn't announced this project yet. So sometimes they're pretty upfront. These bigger companies are pretty upfront about what they want with that, because it's so prominent now. You go on set and you want to put up BTS, right? Like, especially if you're building yourself and your brand and your company.
Yeah, so absolutely. It's definitely
sometimes it's known.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you should be aware of. Again, baseline, always get permission for everything. Sometimes I ask, like sometimes I'm behind the scenes, and you know,
if you ask, man, if you ask, they're going to say no. They're going to say no.
Actually, no. Well, it depends on the person. I have a feeling like if I would have asked Nicky Jam, like his people would have, because just by the vibe that I got from them, they're just so cool. Like with everything, like they would have just said, "Yeah, absolutely, go ahead." And I did get that same response from Ainsley Earnhardt. She's a reporter from Fox News that I did an interview with not that long ago. While I was behind the scenes, her agent just happened to be next to me, and I asked her, "Hey, could I take some pictures?" She said, "Yeah, go for it." But there's some people, like I've done stuff with Lenny Kravitz. You know, I've done stuff with Enrique Iglesias, Pitbull, even Shakira, right? And I was just an production assistant on those things. But they made sure nobody had their phone. Well, obviously you could take out your phone, but they don't want to see a camera at all. luckily I was hired to do the behind the scenes, so I was the only one out there with the camera, and I obviously kept that footage for myself. And I actually used it in a reel, but much later after that project was done, though. So I actually obviously that's something I had to be aware of.
I'm a huge scaredy cat, man. I do ask. Like, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to put, you know, with the real situation, I do slip those in because I don't feel like anyone's going to really see it.
Yeah,
So I slip those in. But when it comes to behind the scenes stuff and like posting pictures, I do tend to ask because I don't want to get in trouble, which I wish I would just do it. And then if they asked me to take it down, I would. But I don't for the most part. And like, same thing with music. I'm extremely scared of using music that's not royalty free or anything.
Oh yeah, that's a completely different story.
And and this, I don't know why I'm relating that to this, but just there's certain things in this business that I'm like very hesitant to do. And then I'll go watch somebody's short film that they posted and they have like 100,000 views and it's like a Tom Petty song in it. I'm like, what? Like, how did you even, why would you put that in there? Is that okay? Like, you can't put that in a festival now. I don't think. Like, you'd have to get the rights to the music. I don't know how that works. Like, sometimes I get confused when people just go do it.
You would get permission from the production company or the company that basically produces it. They're the ones that have the rights, so they're the ones that have the permission to give licenses and stuff like that. And usually they do. And if they don't, then obviously, definitely YouTube is big on that. They'll crack down on that stuff. But if it's up there, it's usually because they have some sort of permission to do that. But yeah, no, you're right. I know usually the artists always get some sort of cut from that. And if they don't, they have every right to, you know, to make a claim. You recently did something with Peyton Manning.
I did, yeah.
How'd that go? Did they make you
behind the scenes stuff?
Did they sign a release so that you can use it, or?
I do a lot of stuff with Fanatics. That's who I was shooting for, and they are now trying to really pump up their social media. So they don't mind if I put anything up, and they actually encourage it. So because I'd worked my way through quite a few athletes with them, and at first it was like, oh, don't post anything yet, because for example, Aaron Judge I worked with earlier this year.
Okay.
And he had just signed his exclusive deal with Fanatics that week or that day, or I don't know what it is, that week. And we were doing a signing and shooting it, but they hadn't announced that he was an exclusive client yet. So that one I couldn't post. They were like, do not post this. Don't put anything up yet, because nobody knows that he's a Fanatics exclusive client. So I couldn't do it that day. But Peyton Manning is a known client of Fanatics, so it was no problem. Just promote that he's there. And the more we promote, the more people see, the more they buy, you know, so everyone makes money.
Gotcha. So what about Carson Wentz?
Wentz was fine as well.
Nice.
Wentz is fine as well, yeah, because he's one of their clients as well.
I recently did a job, not recently. It's funny I said recently. I did a job for this production company that they hired me. It was a nice big shoot. It was like some sort of infomercial. I was just a cameraman on there. It was with what's his name? The guy that comes out in the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think is what he's most known for. He's the Doctor.
Doctor Strange?
No. It's a show. It's a show on I think it's just on Netflix.
I don't know it.
And anyways, he's a well-known, and I gotta look it up. So basically I shot behind the scenes. I posted 2 images from there. One that just was all the cameras. It was like a ton of it was like C300s and C300 Mark IIs, like 5 of them all together. I took that picture. And then I posted another one with him behind the scenes, and then they contacted me and asked me to take that one down. Blair Underwood, it's his name.
Mm-hmm.
So every time they asked me to do that, I never resist. They were appreciative, though. Again, they were nice. Like, hey, you know, we don't want to show our clients, because that was a client of that production company. And so if you could please take that down. I said, absolutely no problem. I actually forgot that I had posted, you know, when you post on Instagram, sometimes you can post it on Facebook, and Twitter simultaneously. I just took it off of Instagram. I forgot that it was on Facebook. That one kind of just stayed there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just go for it and post
Yeah.
but yeah, that's behind the scenes stuff. So this guy was
That's
talking
a
about,
that's a big thing in this industry too, is kind of like ask for forgiveness later, you know, and you kind of have to a lot of times because you're going to get shut down a lot if you keep asking permission, especially when productions get bigger.
Yeah.
Most of the time they're going to say no. So I'm not condoning it, but sometimes you just have to, if you want to do it, maybe go for it. And
you just got to go for it. Even if it's for yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have waited longer to post, because I posted it like the second day, the day after. But I would, I don't know, obviously be careful with it.
Yeah. It's not smart. It's not the smartest thing, but it definitely does happen, and it happen, and more and more so now with the presence of social media. So
no, for sure, for sure. So anyways, I think that's gonna do it for this episode, man.
Yeah.
Got to get back to work. I've like I mentioned earlier, I'm glad I'm not traveling as much right now for Christmas and the New Year's. Just a lot of editing work, which is fine. I'm cool with, because I can always just stop it whenever and continue on later. But yeah, I do have a lot of editing work, including our short film Zion.
Yeah, that's how I felt the last few weeks before this. So I'm finally freed up of some editing, which feels nice. Yeah, it feels nice. And minus just our doc for the most part.
Yeah,
so that's not. It's good. It's a passion thing. It's not. It's like, you know, it's our thing. It's not
it's one of those where I'm
It
excited.
doesn't like just. I don't have to sit there and be like, I can't wait to get this done so I can get paid. This is just something I actually want to try to dive into. So that's
I was looking when I was transferring all the footage. When I was backing it up over here, it was 1.3 terabytes.
Yeah, which
a lot
I'm
less.
actually surprised. Yeah, it was a lot less than we anticipated. But
shooting all day in 8K raw,
one 8K, one 4.5K,
and one 4.5K raw.
We're at 12:1, I think, so it's not huge. It's right in the middle. It's not a huge compression, but
usually the standard is what, 8:1, right?
Anywhere from 8 to 12 is the general range. So
gotcha.
Yeah, that all looks good, especially like when you're going to web. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to like the big screen, you want to probably be 8:1 or below. But so
2:1.
2:1. I mean, at 8K, I think the lowest you go is 5:1.
Oh, really?
I think so. Yeah,
that's crazy.
And 3:1 at 4.5K, I think. So
all that, we could have a whole entire episode on that.
Oh yeah, I got. Did you see my story yesterday? I got my hands on a Monstro.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, I was at.
Was it the white one?
The white one, yeah. You saw that? I was at the Red store for a little workshop, and I know some of the guys over there, so they invited me over for like a workflow thing, and we just went through some like Red Cine X and workflow and the new IPP2 like operating system, quote unquote, in the Red. So just talking about how the new stuff works, and a guy from Off Hollywood, which is a rental company. They also produce some products like for the Red camera. He brought over his Red Monstro that he just got. Man, it was crazy. The depth of field in that thing is insane. He had a 14 millimeter on there, a 14 millimeter prime, and we put it down to like 2.0. And it was like, it must have been like a centimeter of depth, because we put and you could, the 14 millimeter, that frame, that is a full frame camera. It was almost 180 degrees. It was pretty ridiculous.
Damn.
So, and then you put your hand in front of it. It was a really cool looking shot that it was kind of very super wide.
Yeah, 14 millimeters is already pretty wide.
Yeah, and on that camera was intense. It was pretty cool.
Really nice. Cool. Have you heard of any other releases
for Red?
No, for anything. I'm here on the Cinema 5D website.
No, I have not.
I'm still waiting on that.
FreeFly. FreeFly. You know, I don't know what it was. FreeFly released something because they had a Facebook Live that I wanted to join in on. I can see it, but I think they did like a hand. I think it's I saw one picture, so I don't I'm completely guessing here, but it looked like it was like a handheld gimbal for like a phone. I don't
Yeah,
know if
so
that's right.
I'm looking at it here. Is a free flight movie announced, the smartphone cinema
There you
robot.
Okay, so I honestly I don't know what it is, but that's I saw something for a phone and Movi and FreeFly made it. So
I mean, it's just
probably
another.
pretty good.
It looks like it. Just another gimbal. This is kind of, I guess, like the Osmos
Yeah.
for your phone, except this looks like an L shape.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's
like
kind of awkwardly shaped.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, me neither. Um. So real quick, if you guys are in the area, if anyone's in the area, the Miami area, our red store here in Miami, just wanted to. They told me some things that they would like to have announced. The DJI workshop, they're having it on the 9th, which is this Saturday. DJI is coming in to have a workshop. There's a new DJI store that opened here in Miami in
I heard
Wynwood.
about that.
Excited to go by there and see the friendly folks over there, DJI. And so I'll be doing that soon. But anyways, at the red store here, DJI is having their workshop at 3 p.m. this Saturday, the 9th, December 9th, 3 p.m. Check that out if you guys want to make that. Also, at that same red store, Zeiss is having a workshop next week, December 15th, at 3 p.m. So if you guys want to check that out, you can go over there. I don't know if I'm gonna be making it. I actually have 2 birthdays to celebrate this Saturday. I might be able to get to that Zeiss workshop next week, the 15th. So I'm not sure if I'll be there.
Yeah, I
But
love those workshops. It's cool, man. They, if especially when there's product stuff, they bring
yeah,
them in and they talk a little more in depth about them than you usually get to see, and it's always cool. You never know who you're going to meet. I met some other DPs and stuff in the area. It's a great networking opportunity. Usually,
yeah,
good crowd
definitely.
there.
Maybe I'll go show my face because maybe in between going birthday to birthday,
Yeah.
I'll pass by over there and say hi.
Yeah, it's usually very laid back too. You could come in, see what's going on, and take off if you need to. It's not like you have to come in and be there the whole time. We were actually there for 3.5 hours on Wednesday night. Was it last night?
Yeah,
Which is a long one, but it was awesome, man.
when you get to talking with other filmmakers
Yeah.
and you're all passionate about
Oh,
what we're talking about, man. This is why we got to keep a cap on these episodes, because we just keep
Go
going
forever.
on a tangent, and just because we love what we do.
Yeah, that's what happened. There'd be one topic, and then that topic was probably only meant to be like 10 minutes, and it ends up being
Yeah.
40 minutes, because everyone
Yeah,
just keep asking questions or adding on. But it's awesome. It's so informative, and everyone has
yeah.
either their own take or the right way to do something. And you thought, it's just really cool to hash things out with everyone else because we're all in the same boat, trying to figure it out.
Yeah. And I see Twisted Art Productions also noticed that my lights stopped flickering, my LED lights. It's funny because I'm using the same exact lights. My same exact LED lights I was flickering last week. It's not doing it this time. So I don't know what that was all about. But all right. I mean, what else do you have coming up, man?
What else do I have coming up? Let me see. I'm doing something for a friend this weekend. Actually, he's got a feature film. I did a BTS of it on my YouTube channel. He shot his first feature length film. It's called Double Belgian, and it's a buddy comedy. I'm not a craft beer nut, but for those craft beer folks out there, they might know that a Belgian double is an IPA, I believe. So they made a play on words there and went with Double Belgian. And so I did a BTS. I was on their first day of shooting. They did 2 weeks of shooting, and he's coming over here. They're in post right now, and we're going to do like a crowdfunding video for him. I'm going to help shoot that.
Nice.
It's a family friend, so or pretty almost family, I guess. So I'm going to help him out with that so he can get some funding to get his post-production work going. And I have something that's question marked right now for next week. So I don't know if that's going to go down or not.
Very nice. Very nice. So on a completely separate note, something that does not have to do with filmmaking whatsoever, my FIU Golden Panthers are going to a bowl game. The football team is going to a bowl game. Very excited about that because
Are you going?
they have no, I'm not going. It's in St. Petersburg. It's like a 4-hour drive from here. But still, I think it's either tomorrow or something like that. But super proud of them. They have not been to a bowl game since I was playing. We went to 2 bowl games with T. White Hilton when we were all playing together, and since then it's not been good. They have this new coach now that the guy's doing
He's
pretty
doing it.
well. He's doing pretty good out there. So big shout out to my FIU football team
Nice.
for making it to a bowl game first time. And since I want to say how long since I graduated, like 7 years, 6-7 years ago.
Flying by,
But
right?
anyways, congratulations FIU football. I think with that we're gonna go ahead and close off this episode. Thank you guys for listening, for tuning in. Just a reminder, you guys can go out there and make sure that you're subscribed. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get notifications when we go live, and ask your questions. Become a part of the conversation. And we definitely encourage that. Follow us on Instagram. If you're on iTunes, we hope that you would give us a 5-star rating. We definitely appreciate that. It helps us with the analytics. Follow Jersey Filmmaker on Instagram, YouTube, and myself over on Instagram. And yeah, Mr. Ceratelli, it's been real. Now we got to get back to work.
As always.
All right. Later, dude.
Later.